Whenever you two are ready.
Okay, Ulysses S. Grant. His name is Ulysses S. Grant. He was a general and a U.S. president. He was born on April 27, 1822, and he died on July 23, 1885. He was educated in the United States Military Academy at West Point. He was born in Ohio and he died in New York. His original name is Hiram Ulysses Grant, but he has a nickname U.S. Grant that stands for Unconditional Surrender Grant. On April 13, 1861, Confederate troops assailed Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. He was assigned to command a disorderly 21st Illinois Volunteer Troop. Applying lessons that he learned from his commanders during the Mexican-American War, Grant saw that the troop was combat ready by September 1861. When Kentucky's fragile neutrality fell apart in the fall of 1861, Grant and his volunteers took the town of Paducah, Kentucky. In February 1862, Grant's ground forces applied pressure on Fort Henry and Fort Donelson, taking them both. These battles are considered the earliest important Union victories of the American Civil War. After the attack on Fort Donelson, Grant was promoted to Major General of Volunteers. In April 1862, Ulysses S. Grant moved his army cautiously into enemy territory in Tennessee, in what would later become known as the Battle of Shiloh, one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. Confederate commanders Albert Sidney Johnston and PGT Beauregard led a surprise attack against Grant's forces, with fierce fighting occurring in an area known as the Hornets' Nest. Confederate General Johnston was mortally wounded, and his second-in-command, General Beauregard, decided against a night assault on Grant's forces. Reinforcement finally arrived, and Grant was able to defeat the Confederates during the second day of battle. The Battle of Shiloh proved to be a watershed for the American military and a near disaster for Grant. Though he was supported by President Abraham Lincoln, Grant faced heavy criticism from members of Congress and the military brass for the high casualties, and for a time he was demoted. A War Department investigation led to his reinstatement. Union war strategy called for taking control of the Mississippi River and cutting the Confederacy in half. In December 1862, Grant moved overland to take Vicksburg, but his attack was stalled by Confederate Nathan Bedford Forrest, as well as due to getting bogged down in the north of Vicksburg. In his second attempt, Grant cut some of the supply lines, moved his men down the western bank of the Mississippi River, and crossed south of Vicksburg. Failing to take the city after several assaults, he settled into a long siege, and Vicksburg finally surrendered on July 4, 1863. Though Vicksburg marked both Grant's greatest achievements thus far and a moral boost for the Union, rumors of Grant's heavy drinking followed him through the rest of the Western campaign. However, his closest associates said that he was sober and polite, and that he displayed deep concentration even in the midst of battle. In October 1863, Grant took command at Chattanooga, Tennessee. The following month, from November 22 to November 25, Union forces routed Confederate troops in Tennessee at the Battle of Lookout Mountain and Missionary Ridge, known collectively as the Battle of Chattanooga. The victories forced the Confederates to retreat into Georgia, ending the siege of the vital railroad junction of Chattanooga. Grant strongly believed that taking down the Confederate armies was most important to the war effort. Therefore, he set out to track down and destroy General Robert E. Lee's Army of North Virginia. From March 1864 until April of 1865, Grant hunted for Lee in the forests of Virginia, all the while inflicting unsustainable casualties on Lee's army. On April 9, 1865, Lee surrendered his army, marking the end of the Civil War. The two generals rented a farm near the village of Appomattox Courthouse, and a peace agreement was signed. In a good gesture, Grant allowed Lee's men to keep their horses and return to their homes, taking none of them as prisoners of war. Ulysses was promoted to full general and oversaw the military portion of Reconstruction. He was then put in an awkward position during the President Andrew Johnson's fight with the radical Republicans and Johnson's impeachment. Subsequently, in 1868, Grant was elected the 18th President of the United States. When he entered the White House, Grant was not only politically inexperienced, he was at the age of 46 the youngest president ever. Grant became known for appointing people who were not good of character. While he had some success during his time in office, including pushing through ratification of the 15th Amendment and establishing the National Park Service, his administration scandals rocked both of his presidential terms, and he didn't get the top opportunity to serve a third. After leaving the White House, Ulysses' his lack of success as civilian life continued once again. He became a partner of the financial firm Grant & Ward, only to have his partner Ferdinand Ward embezzle investors' money. The firm went bankrupt in 1884, as did Grant. That same year, Grant learned that he was suffering from throat cancer, and though his military pension was reinstated, he was strapped for cash. Ulysses died on July 23, 1885, at the age of 63 in Mount McGregor, New York. He is buried in New York City.